is April 30th, 2010. I'm at 490 Shirley Place, Stratford, Connecticut. And the person I'm interviewing is Francis McNamara. He was born on September 25th, 1925. His wife, Shirley, is in attendance, and my name is Robert Maestro. I'm working for the Veteran History Project. Frank served in the United States Marine Corps. He was a corpsman. And what was the rank?
Pharmacist mate third class.
And he was a pharmacist mate third class. So let us begin. And it was World War II. Let's talk about Frank. Go back to the beginning. You're in high school, when the war breaks out. Tell me, let's go back and recollect your memories of the war breaking out. Talk a little bit about your family and what they did in the war, and then how did you get into the war?
Well, I can remember when Pearl Harbor was bombed. And the excitement of people was just unbelievable. And many of us wanted to leave school that day and go into service and fight the Japanese. Obviously, I was too young to enlist at the time, but 5 of my brothers went before I did. In the Navy, the Army, and the Air Corps. And then as soon as I was able to, I enlisted in the Navy. And I was working in a hospital foreman at the time, and I knew that I wanted to be in a different type of atmosphere. And I volunteered for the Marine Corps. And I went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where we received infantry training from the Marine Corps. And then from there, we went to California and then to Pearl Harbor. And while at Pearl Harbor, 6 LSTs blew up, not from combat, but there was workers working with blowtorches on these ships. And unfortunately, 6 of them blew up and many young Marines were killed. One of the corpsmen that got killed, I asked, could I please take his place? I was granted that favor, I would call it. And I went to the 2nd Marine Division. And we went from Hawaii to the Battle of Saipan.
Go back over your training. You had said you initially went to the Navy. Right. You were trained. Talk about where you were trained and what your training was, and then did you not take basic training over again in the Marine Corps?
Yes.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Where you were and what you trained.
Okay. Well, we went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and we were trained the use of rifles, hand grenades, and how to react in battle. And it was basically the same training that the Marines have received in their basic training, boot camp. But we basically received the same training as corpsmen because we would have to go into combat and defend ourselves the same as the Marines were. And as far as we're concerned, we were Marines because we were going to be up the front lines with those fellows. And from there,
You were at what was the camp in the Navy?
so we went to Sampson, New York originally when I enlisted in the Navy. And then they sent me down to Bethesda, Maryland for hospital training school. And I realized that I wasn't cut out to do that type of work. I wanted to be in combat. And that's
You
what
were already in the service for approximately
a few months at the time.
before you made the decision that you wanted to become a Marine.
That's right. I
And
went,
then you were retrained. You went to basic training again.
basic training again in North Carolina, Camp Lejeune, where we received training in rifles, hand grenades, bayonets, everything else we had to know to be in combat. And at the same time, we had to know our medical work also to treat wounded Marines and so forth. When we were landing at Saipan, I got off of an LST into a landing craft. And on the way in, that craft was hit. Going over the side, the water was over my head. In order for me to survive, I had to throw my rifle away or else drown. But I made it ashore, and I found a dead Marine whose rifle I took. And then we went in fighting right there, right from the very beginning. And there was a lot of deaths on that day. And as I remember, I was called one time to help a young fellow that was shot. And I was able to stop the bleeding with him and one to others. But at the time that the machine gun fire and the hand grenades were very, very intense. And it was a battle all the way. The weather was rainy one day and hot the next day. But all night long, you had to stay dug in your hole for fear of getting out of it and getting yourself killed. Because that would be ridiculous. They're cutting it out at night. When the Japanese were, they were all probably able to snipers to get you when you got out. But nonetheless, I made it through and continued on the Battle of Saipan all the way. I had dengue fever from mosquitoes there. It left you very, very ill. Fevers and so forth. But I survived it. Well, at that point, they were mainly from the mosquitoes. And dengue was the most prevalent one at the time. And so many years ago, but that's basically what I remember about diseases. What do you remember about your treatment of the wounded? What was your protocol? How did you treat it? What was in your bag? Well, what we had was bandages. That was first of all, we had a medication that was sprinkled on the wound, and then we put the bandage on to stop the bleeding and tie that up. And most of the time, we were able to stop the bleeding where the person would survive. Other times it was impossible, and they just died. Probably if they hit in the stomach or the chest, it was almost impossible to save them. But other times, the bleeding could stop with the bandages we had and the medication that we could sprinkle on. But I saw many, many survive, and I saw many, many die. They were taken back and brought aboard back to ships. And those that didn't survive, unfortunately, they had to be put in the water for their remains to go in the water. Otherwise, if they didn't, they would be brought back to Hawaii for medical treatment in hospitals for those few that survived. No, if they were severely wounded, they wouldn't be coming back. You mentioned the weather. Well, there were many nights when rain was pouring down, and other times when it was just plain hot. But as I said, they survived all those things and managed to get through it all. Well, we had the hay rations. We opened up a box, and later on, after the battle was over, I can't really describe it, but we would call it slop. It was put on a metal dish for us, and basically, I don't remember ever having what you call a great meal, but we survived on it. Pay rations, and then we got the other food that was cooked by chefs. It was more or less just like I can't even describe it, but it was like a stew, I guess you would call it. Excuse me. I can't remember how they treated the water when we wouldn't become ill from it, but somehow they did. No. No medication like that. You stayed in the same clothes until combat was over. Not in combat, no. And later on, after the battles were over, they managed to fix up some kind of a outdoor shower. I don't know how they did it, but we were at least get underwater and wash ourselves off and get into a cleaner clothes. We were up in the front lines, and we had our rifles just the same as the rest of the Marines. We had our combat duties as well as our medical duties. We were on the line just like everybody else. They got to improve. Oh yes, of course. Not in combat, no. You were awake all night to protect your life and to protect others. But as far as sleep in combat, at night, almost impossible. At least for me, anyway. After the Battle of Saipan, we were preparing for the landing at Tinian, which is part of the Mariana Islands, a short distance away. And while I was there, we were attacked by 150 Japanese, firing machine guns and so forth. And I had a very good friend. They were like the Middletown Cannon. But he was hit. And I did my best to save him. I had his face machine gun fire and rifle fire, but I went to try to assist him anyway. Unfortunately, he died. And if I gave you a letter that I sent home from mother, I'll read it to you now. Mom, if you can get in touch with Mrs. Ehrlich in Middletown, Connecticut, write and let her know that I was with her son when he died. He was killed on Tinian, a real hero. He was he communion before the battle, and he was a good Catholic, and I know if there's a heaven, that's where he is. His name is Joe, and if by chance you can get in touch with her, let her know she can be proud of her son. I was his best pal, and I tried to help him when he got hit, but it was too late. Let her know also that he did not suffer. Love your son, friend. Yeah. Okay. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Bronze Star to Francis McNamara, Jr., Thomas State Third Class, United States Naval Reserve, who was service set forth in the following citation. For her own achievement as a corpsman serving with the 3rd Battalion, 6th Marine, 2nd Marine Division, during the operations against enemy forces on Saipan and Tinian, Marianas Island, and Okinawa and the Ryukyu Islands from June 15, 1944 to September 1, 1945. After the enemy attacked on a Marine command post on August 2, 1944, McNamara braved the intense machine gun fire and bursting grenades to go to the aid of a wounded Marine that had fallen well ahead of the main defense group. Despite the continued heavy fire, it continued to treat casualties and assist in evacuation throughout the fierce action. The initiative, courage, and devotion to duty throughout were people with the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. McNamara is authorized to wear the combat gage. For the President, John L. Sullivan, Secretary of the Navy. That's correct.
And also, I believe you have the one star on the star over that.
When we left Tinian back to Saipan, and then we went up to Okinawa. From there, we were going to be the defensive force to keep the Japanese away from the main landing. That's correct. The diversionary force, and there were a lot of kamikaze bombers at that time, and they were giving their life to their emperor, and we would to keep the main forces, Japanese forces, away from the landing forces. We would want over one side of the island to draw them away. There were no severe casualties on our part, but we went back to our ships, and then back to Saipan. And then at Saipan,
yeah, why don't you continue into
well, when that happened at Saipan, I was with another Marine, and we were going to help somebody, but they were dropping mortar shells. And a mortar shell was the probably no good effort to right down. Well, I got hit on the side of my leg, and it bled quite a bit. And when I got back, no, I went back and a doctor sent me to a field hospital where I was treated there, and I lost an awful lot of weight because I became sick and couldn't eat properly. But I was only there a short time when they sent me back up to the front. And from there, we thought I described all the other things in the combat, and get us open all back to Saipan, and then getting ready to invade Japan. Yes. All right. The Western Union Telegram. And it says, the Navy Department deeply regrets to inform you that your son Francis McNamara, Francis State Third Class, has been wounded in action 24 June 1944 in the performance of his duty in the service of his country. The department appreciates the great anxiety, but expect that the wounds not now available, and delay in receipt of the details must necessarily be expected, but will be furnished to promptly if received to prevent possible aid to our enemy. Please do not divulge the name of the simple station. Vice Admiral Jacob, Chief of Naval Personnel. Right here. But we're back to Okinawa. And as time went by, we heard back to Saipan. And while there, we were hearing that we were going to lead the attack on Japan. Now, how much time went by, I can't recall at this time, but We did hear sometime later that the atomic bomb had dropped and the war was over.
You were not atomic bomb. You were
A bomb. We didn't know what an atomic bomb was, but we were told that the war was over, but we were still going to go to the occupation forces. And we left right there and went there to Japan, and we found the place flattened, literally flattened. And they drove us, some of us up to where the original bomb had dropped. Ground zero, and the place was completely flattened.
So you landed there by what time?
I was seeing what they're going to do.
They're off and all of a sudden
We were flattened city. It was.
were there bodies there?
No, you didn't see any bodies. I guess the bomb probably destroyed the body.
Most things were there just
Flattened to the ground.
and did you realize that that was one bomb that they
Not at that time, no, but we found out later was that the one atomic bomb was there. No one heard of it. Atomic bombs at that time, including myself, and but we did see the city flattened. But unbelievably, most of the civilians I saw were friendly and caused the same kind of trouble.
as a result of being there, have you had the problem as a result of that?
Well, I've had skin cancer for some months in Japan. I've had it ever since, and I've had so many skin cancer operations that I can't count. These are just have these operations on my face, my nose, my ears, and this operation on my cheek here went all the way through my face and the back of my head. And I do have tremors too, which I've developed over the years, as you can see right now. But I have a severe hearing problem. I have tinnitus, I think they call it, and I have the ringing in my ears 24 hours a day. It stops me from getting a night's sleep, and my hearing is gone over 50%. And right now they're ringing so loud I can't tell you. It's never going to stop. Unless they come up with some cure that I don't know about, they don't know about yet. That's where it is right now. I can't recall how long, but it was a couple of months. And then excuse me, just a regular occupation like this. And it was no big problem with anybody that I remember. Not while I was there, no. Well, we ate a little better over there, not from the Japanese alone, but we ate a little better than we were on the islands. But it was a stay that we never forget it to see that flattened city like that. And we stayed in a former aircraft factory in Japan. And at least we were able to wash ourselves up there and basically, well, you know what time to go home. Yes, that's right. I think we go home right on. I went back to New York, and then I forgot the name of the camp we were in. It was really a camp, it was a separation center, and I got my discharge papers and went to New York City and took the train home. And my family was at the railroad station in Britain, in Bridgeport. And you know what they got in December of 1945. Okay, so this is a picture of you taking early on, probably after basic training. That's correct. there were six brothers, and we all went into the service. And if I can show you here, this is my brother Danny. He was in the aircraft. He was in a plane crash, but survived it. This is my brother James. He was wounded and survived that. This is my brother Paul. He was shot down in Germany. He was a prisoner of war for 2 years. And this is my brother Joe and my brother Gerald. They were in the Pacific, in the sea days, and that's being another. But unfortunately, they've all passed away. They survived the war, but they all passed away.
Some of the guys that you have memories of very good times.
Well, I told you about the Wall Street in Ohio. We became real pals. He was a giant, a real big guy. And the only name he was known by, this is of his own doing, he wanted to be called a Pollock. And just shortly before he died, he called up and this is my wife came the phone, so this is the Pollock calling, is Frank there? And then we had another several of Bob Petcher, and another one from Oklahoma, Jim Montgomery, he passed away. Samolsky passed away. And there's just a few of us left, and I probably won't see any of them ever again. Colonel McLeod, I remember. And they said when he was hit and killed, I helped bring his body back to the front, and I got a letter in the mail asking anybody that knew her father, and I wrote back to her that I did know it was father, and father was a brave Marine, and that I helped carry his body back to the front. And I got a nice letter back from her because we have that now. When I came back from service, naturally I worked like everybody else did, to get jobs and so forth. But I did go to New Haven State Teachers College. I went to Batson. I went to UB. I went to Fairfield University and several other schools. And I graduated from the FBI Academy and the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. I played pro football for several years, and it was an experience. All of them were an experience. Going to school, playing sports, having jobs. I think I've just about done everything. Around the police department, I stayed there for 30 years, and I became chief of police. And right now, I've been retired 30 years. So basically, it's been a life of military, a life of work, a life of education, my life on the police department.
Military experience
Well, I think the people should know that the young men that were in all services and all wars should really be treated as heroes. But the atomic bomb dropping on Japan saved thousands and thousands of American lives and other military people also. A lot of people were killed, obviously, from the bomb. But how many would have been killed if that war continued would be unbelievable. So it sounds like a terrible thing, but in a way it was a wonderful thing. The fact that that bomb dropped, the war ended the killing of people. Just thank God for that. I joined the VFW here in Stratford. I'm a charter member there. I still go there on occasion. I have many friends there. Unfortunately, most of them are 5 years or older and have passed away. But I still go there once in a while, and I find that the veterans there are a good bunch of fellows. And I enjoy just going over there. We don't talk about the war all the time. It's about everything, sports and what's going on in the country and so forth. The war comes up once in a while, naturally. But most of the time, it's just friendship and good gathering. Well, it must be strike. It's an unforgettable thing. That's for sure. And I always feel that I'm glad I did it. I'm glad my part was part of my life. And it's something I will never forget, and I'll never be sorry that I did. And at this point, I can just say, simplify.